How is drug impairment detected in DUI cases? Imagine you're driving down the road and suddenly see flashing lights behind you. Law enforcement has pulled you over, but how do they figure out if you're under the influence of drugs? Detecting drug impairment in DUI cases involves several steps, each designed to gather evidence without a simple breathalyzer like 4-alcohol. First, officers observe your behavior and physical condition during the traffic stop. They look for signs like bloodshot eyes, dilated pupils, or slurred speech. They also watch how you move and react, noting any unusual coordination issues or slow responses. These observations can suggest drug use but are not definitive on their own. Next, officers may ask you to perform field sobriety tests. These are simple tasks like walking in a straight line or standing on one leg. These tests check your balance, coordination, and cognitive function. However, they can be influenced by medical conditions or fatigue, making them somewhat subjective. Since there is no universal legal limit for drugs like there is for alcohol, officers relying heavily on chemical testing. Blood tests are the most accurate and can detect a variety of drugs such as marijuana, cocaine, opioids, or prescription medications. These tests measure the amount of drugs in your system but do not always prove impairment at the moment of driving. Urine tests are also used but are less reliable for proving current impairment because they often show past drug use. They can indicate if you used drugs recently but not necessarily if you were impaired while driving. Breath tests are mainly used for alcohol detection. They are not effective for most drugs, so they are rarely used to determine drug impairment. Instead, they help rule out alcohol as the cause of impairment. In some cases, a specially trained officer called a drug recognition expert may be called to evaluate the driver. This expert follows a detailed 12-step process that includes physical exams, eye tests, and checking vital signs. They also review your statements and perform divided attention tests. Based on this, the DRE forms an opinion about whether you are impaired by drugs and which category of drugs might be involved. Because proving drug impairment is more complex than alcohol impairment, prosecutors often combine chemical test results, DRE evaluations, and behavioral observations. This layered approach helps build a case but also provides opportunities for criminal defense attorneys to challenge the evidence. In summary, detecting drug impairment involves observing behavior, conducting field sobriety tests, performing chemical tests like blood or urine analysis, and sometimes involving a drug recognition expert. The lack of a clear legal threshold for drugs makes the process more complicated, which is why each step is carefully scrutinized in court.